Hello again. Now the question is, are we ready to be led by women? It came up, of course, the question there to the President of the Supreme Court of Appeal. She believes that should be done away with. It's not a question to ask, according to Justice Mandisa Maya. Today, in the hot seat, vying for the position of Chief Justice. She's described herself as a fierce advocate for transformation in the judiciary, also mentioning a number of other key skills that she possesses. Listening to her is our reporter, Heidi Giokos, who's monitoring these interviews for us. Joining us now live this hour while the interviews have broken for lunch. Good afternoon, Heidi. Chief Justice candidate Mandisa Maya talking big on transformation earlier today.
Very big on transformation, Bradan, and I think part of it was due to a question that was posed to her by one of the commissioners to say that there's been slight criticism with the fact that there are acting and white permanent judges at the Supreme Court of Appeal, and many are saying that there has not been enough transformation when it comes to appointing black judges, but also female black judges. And of course, Judge President of the Supreme Court making it very clear that she will not accept the fact that she is not for transformation. She says that she is for transformation, and looking at the work that she has done while being at the Supreme Court of Appeal, she has managed to have 11 women judges and 12 men judges. And she says that a lot of work has been done. But what was interesting about her response to the criticism that there's lack of transformation at the Supreme Court, she says that a lot of black attorneys and a lot of judges coming into a specific court are on the back foot because they don't necessarily have the skills. And she says that there is no sin in having white judges within a court, either acting or permanent, to provide the necessary skills, to transfer the necessary skills to up-and-coming judges. She says there's no sin to have these white judges, and she says there's nothing wrong with also trying to get these skills and provide the necessary transformation and the necessary skills that are required and needed to be a judge in the Supreme Court of Appeal. So she says that she has done enough work, and she says there is definitely more still to do, but she will not accept the criticism that she's not for transformation. Let's listen to Justice Mandisa Maya on that.
So it is not a sin to appoint white judges, whether in an acting or permanent position. I want to make that clear. But I am a major proponent of transformation. If you look at who acts and who gets appointed, and this commission is my primary witnesses, who gets appointed at the end of the day, as I had pointed out in that letter I wrote to Minister, that I'm transforming this court. I'm getting junior people, junior women who need transfer of skills. So my aim is I will get 2 white males and my 2 women, black women judges. And we try, when we set our panels for sittings, we put these people together for the infusion of skills and experience. Now, I'm not going to say much more. All I'm going to point out to you, Commissioner, is look who gets appointed at the SCA ultimately. I pointed out here earlier that during my leadership, there have been 2 rounds of appointments, 5 vacancies during each round. Who was appointed during those interviews? So women, largely black, African males, and only 2, is it even 2? Only 2 white males. Women, especially black women, and males are appointed at the SCA. So I cannot be accused of being anti-transformational, not me. I refuse to accept that.
And Heidi, she also lamented the issue of lack of equal opportunities for both men and women in the judiciary.
Yes, and this was actually something that was posed to Justice Madlanga yesterday to say that is South Africa ready for a female Chief Justice? And the same question was posed to Judge Mandisa Maya, and she seemed quite annoyed by the question, and she says that is the wrong question that is being asked. She said women are just as capable as men are. She also went on to say in another question that was very much related to her credentials and her capabilities as a woman judge, she made it very clear that she is a good judge. She's not a good judge just because she's a woman, but she has the necessary credentials because she's a judge. And it should not be looked at as to say she should only be appointed and men should step aside for her to become the Chief Justice. It should be based on her abilities, qualifications, and of course her capabilities. So she's made it very clear that opportunities should be, equal opportunities should be given to women as they are to men. And she also touched on another very important issue, Bradan, around how there are no anti-sexual harassment policies within the judiciary, and she says judges are also subjected to sexual harassment, and this is something that she's already put together and drafted, and of course she needs to discuss this further with various stakeholders, but she says it's a massive problem. She also spoke about the time she was pregnant, and she was the only woman that was pregnant at the time on the bench, and she says the judiciary did not know what to do with her. This is something else that needs to urgently be addressed, is that when you are childbearing, why should you be treated any different because you're a judge, for example, and you are pregnant? So she has truly spoken very loud about, and her message has come across very strong, with commissioners seeming very satisfied with her response to say that just because she's a woman doesn't mean she needs to be considered more or more than what men are considered, because she's a good judge, she's got the qualifications, and women are just as capable as men, and this should always be considered in the judiciary. Let's listen further to Judge Maya.
Is South Africa ready for the appointment of a woman Chief Justice? I don't know if your answer is South Africa has always been ready. Perhaps there are those who are vested with the powers may not have been ready.
You know, well, thank you so much for asking that question, JP. Look, I fully appreciate the sentiment behind it. I respect it. But I don't think it's a proper question to ask because it implies all sorts of negative things. But short answer is South Africa has always been ready to have a female Chief Justice. At inception, as you point out, we had strong, capable women. In the Constitutional Court, we had Justice Mokgoro, we had Justice O'Regan, and we know them, what they're capable of. And in other courts as well. So there's never been a shortage of women who could take up leadership in any of the ranks of this institution of ours. Yes. And I'll tell you this, that question actually annoys a lot of women. And I've had people ask, was it ever asked if South Africa is ready for a black Chief Justice, and if not, why? Why are we asking about women as if we are this homogeneous, this special group that needs to be done a favor? Just you keep checking if they are ready, and then at some stage you think, oh, maybe now. No, that's not who women are. We're as capable as men.
Justifiably, the Heidi, Justice Maya was like literally spitting fire there. It's a very, very strong point and valid point that she makes. Heidi, before I let you go to get ready, I think they said they'll resume at about 10 to 3, so we are like 20 minutes or so away from that. The mood in the room this morning compared to yesterday, the sentiment, we tried yesterday with you to gauge how it's been going. So far, anything different from what you witnessed yesterday, or are we still seeing a lot of moderation and reasonableness in the way the commissioners are approaching this interview today?
Certainly, I think it's very similar to what we saw yesterday, but it has a lot to do also, Bradan, with the kind of energy each candidate brings into the room. And yesterday you had a very relaxed Justice Madlanga, and this time around Judge Maya also very relaxed, but also very stern in her messaging and her response. She's also made it very clear sometimes that she would rather opt not to answer certain questions, or she would just say, I'll just leave it at that, or she would be in agreement with certain remarks made. For example, when Commissioner Julius Malema asked the question about whether or not there's a justifiable argument in how she had to recuse herself in two particular matters, one being a matter involving Judge President Hlophe, and she's saying that's what judges are supposed to do when there's a concern around any kind of bias from the judge. They recuse themselves, and that should not be a negative against her. But she's been very calm. The questions have been very measured, very straight to the point, and as you mentioned, spitting fire when it comes to, oh, but you're a woman, oh, you have credentials, you stand on your own, and therefore it makes you a good woman judge. And she makes it very clear that I'm capable in my own right, despite my gender. So it's very similar, but I must say the energy from Judge Maya is different to Judge Madlanga, of course, being two different genders. So we'll see after the break what happens with regards to the mood in the room and the questions that are being posed. But I also suspect that we might end a little earlier today because it seems as though the commissioners are getting through their questions a lot quicker than what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, one of Thulasizwe Simelane's favorite quotes of the day from Justice Maya is, I'm not good because I'm a woman, I'm just a good woman judge. Yeah, yay today. Thank you very much, Heidi Giokos, going back to get ready for the resumption in about 20 minutes or so from now of the interviews of Justice Maya on day 2 of the Judicial Services Commission process to try and find and identify and select the new Chief Justice.